There is a moment in football, not a goal, not a tackle, not even a save, where the crowd goes completely still. Not because nothing is happening, but because something is happening that nobody has the words for yet. Something shifting. Something that felt permanent beginning to crack. And on this particular night, inside the San Siro, that moment arrived quietly, without warning, in the shape of a 26-year-old from Madeira who was only just beginning to understand how frightening he could be. This is the story of the night Cristiano Ronaldo made Ronaldinho look completely ordinary. Now, before we go any further, we need to be careful with that word, ordinary, because Ronaldinho was never ordinary, not even close. This was the man who had made football look like something invented specifically for him. The man who dribbled past defenders the way other people walk past furniture. The man whose smile was as famous as his left foot, and whose left foot was as dangerous as anything the sport had ever seen. He had won the Ballon d'Or. He had won the Champions League. He had made a teenage Cristiano Ronaldo stand on the pitch after a friendly at Old Trafford and think quietly that he had just witnessed the greatest footballer alive. That is who Ronaldinho was. That is the weight of the name we are talking about. But football does not care about names. It does not care about what you did last year or the year before, or on that perfect Tuesday evening when the whole world was watching and you made it look effortless. Football only cares about right now, about what you can do tonight on this pitch against this opponent. And the cruel truth, the truth nobody in the AC Milan dressing room wanted to say out loud, was that Ronaldinho in 2010 was not Ronaldinho in 2006. The body was the same. The smile was the same. The tricks were still there, flickering in and out like a signal you can almost but not quite tune into. But the absolute dominance, that suffocating authority he once carried onto every pitch, that was fading, slowly, painfully, the way great things always fade. Real Madrid, on the other hand, were building something. Jose Mourinho had arrived at the Bernabeu that summer with the kind of focused intensity that made people either deeply uncomfortable or deeply inspired, sometimes both at once. He had looked at this squad and seen potential that had not yet been organized, desire that had not yet been pointed in the right direction. He had said publicly, calmly, in that way of his that sounds like fact rather than prediction, that they were a team under construction, still finding its shape, still learning the language he wanted them to speak on the pitch. But whatever else Mourinho was doing, he was turning a collection of expensive individuals into something that functioned as a unit, where the parts served the whole, and construction, when Mourinho is the architect, tends to move fast. At the center of everything was Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo, who by this point had begun rewriting what a footballer could be, not just in goals, though the goals were extraordinary in volume and variety, but in what the body was capable of, what discipline could produce, what happened when physical gifts met obsessive preparation and refused to stop pushing. He had scored 4 goals in his last 2 matches going into this tie. He was in form the way a storm is in form, not just strong, but inevitable. The San Siro received them the way it always receives great visitors, with noise, with theater, with the kind of atmospheric pressure you feel in your chest, rather than just hear with your ears. AC Milan had their own history in this competition, their own legends, their own sense of who they were. And Ronaldinho, even at this slightly dimmer version of himself, gave their supporters a focal point, a name to chant, a reason to believe that maybe tonight the magic would return fully and everything would be fine. It was not fine. Ronaldo opened the scoring with the kind of goal that does not just go into the net, it makes a statement, a free kick, from the edge of the area. He stood over the ball for a moment in that particular way of his, feet apart, chest forward, absolutely still in a way that almost no human being is able to be still under that kind of pressure. The wall lined up, the goalkeeper set himself. The whole stadium held its breath without fully realizing it was doing so. And then he hit it, through the wall, not around it, through the gap that he had spotted, a gap that perhaps nobody else in that stadium had even noticed was there, because he had already calculated the angles, already mapped the geometry of the space, already decided where the ball was going before the wall had finished forming. The goalkeeper, young Amelia, did not move in the wrong direction. He moved in no direction at all because there was no direction to move in. The ball was already in the net, and for just a second before the noise came rushing back in, there was silence. The purest kind, the kind that only a truly extraordinary thing can produce. 2 goals came inside a single minute. The second belonged to Mesut Ozil, but the idea behind it, the creativity that unlocked the Milan defense, drew the attention, forced the shape to shift, came from Ronaldo. He was not just scoring. He was thinking, pulling strings, conducting. And Ozil, playing with quiet intelligence that rarely gets the credit it deserves, was the perfect recipient. 2-0. The San Siro, which had been so loud and confident, began to do that thing crowds do when the scoreboard disagrees with what they had imagined. They did not go quiet exactly, but the quality of the noise changed. Tighter, anxious, far more anxious. And Ronaldinho was trying. That is the important thing to understand. This was not a performance where he switched off, decided the night was not worth his effort, and coasted on reputation. He was attempting the things he had always done. The flick, the turn, the sudden change of speed that used to leave defenders standing still, like they had forgotten what their legs were for. There were brief moments where you could see the old version of him trying to push through to the surface. A touch with extra spin on it, a look over the shoulder that suggested he had already seen 3 passes ahead. But there is a difference between attempting these things and executing them with the efficiency that once defined him. On this night, that gap was visible, painfully visible. A touch that should have been sharp was a fraction heavy. A run that should have stretched the defense arrived a fraction late. And every time the ball fell to him in a dangerous position, there was a Real Madrid shape around him, organized, alert, that simply did not allow him the space he needed to breathe. Marcelo on the left side deserves his own moment in this story, because what he was doing that night went beyond instructions, beyond a tactical role, beyond what a coach can draw on a whiteboard. There is a type of footballer who makes you forget, briefly, that football is a competitive sport, who makes it feel instead like a form of expression, something being performed rather than contested. Marcelo was that footballer on this night. Every time the ball reached his feet, something in the San Siro changed. Defenders braced. The crowd leaned forward, and then he was gone. Not fast exactly, but fluid. Unpredictable. Changing direction the way water changes direction. Always finding a path. Always arriving somewhere the opposition had not covered. He would beat his man, deliver the ball, and before the stadium had finished reacting, he was already back, already in position, already ready again. The audacity of it, the sheer unapologetic confidence. That was the mirror of the whole Real Madrid performance. They were not just winning, they were performing. The match continued. Milan pushed. They had to. And Ibrahimovic, to his credit, was the one pushing hardest. This enormous, angular presence in the center of everything, holding the ball with his back to goal, refusing to be moved, buying his teammates time and space that they could not quite convert into the goal that would have changed the atmosphere completely. He was fighting the only way he knew how, with his body, with his will, with the kind of stubborn refusal to accept the scoreline that great strikers carry with them, even when the game has already made its decision. There were moments, genuine moments, where the San Siro found its voice again, where a Casillas save or a scrambled clearance gave the crowd something to hold on to. But Madrid held. They were organized in the way that only a team with genuine belief in what it is doing can be organized. The narrative had been written in those first 20 minutes. Nothing that followed rewrote it. And, at the center of all of it, finishing when he needed to finish, creating when he needed to create, never once letting the game slip away from him, Ronaldo. By the time the final whistle came, the scoreline told the story plainly. Real Madrid had won, 9 points from 9 in the group stage, perfect. Mourinho had spent weeks talking about construction, about a team still finding itself, still becoming what it needed to become. And here, in this stadium, against this opponent, on this night, you could finally see what he had been building. Not just a team that wins, a team that imposes, a team that makes the opposition feel, from the first minute to the last, that the gap is larger than the scoreboard suggests. The building was not finished, but the foundations were set and they were deep. Ronaldinho received a standing ovation when he was substituted off. The San Siro gave him that, because even a fading Ronaldinho is someone worth applauding, someone whose career earns that respect. He walked off slowly, deliberately, head down. And perhaps in that walk there was an awareness, the kind great athletes feel in their bodies before they feel it in their minds, that the game was moving on, that a new name now occupied the space he used to own, that the young man who had once watched him at Old Trafford in genuine amazement had spent the years since working and sacrificing until he had become something Ronaldinho himself could no longer match. That is the thing about football's great transitions. They do not announce themselves with trumpets or fanfare. No formal handover, no cameras. They happen quietly in a single evening, inside 90 minutes, on a pitch in Milan. When one man's star is setting and another's is rising so fast the sky can barely hold it. If you made it to the end of this video, you already understand what made that night mean something beyond just 3 points in a group stage. It was proof, loud, undeniable, written in goals and assists, and in the shape of a team at full speed, that Cristiano Ronaldo had stopped chasing greatness and started simply being it. And Ronaldinho, to his eternal credit, gave everything he had. He just happened to be standing in the way of something that could not be stopped. Drop a comment below. Where do you rank this in Ronaldo's Champions League story? And if you have not subscribed yet, now is the time. There are more nights like this one still to come.